Hello, what can I get you, Mr. Selby?
It was a lucky April shower. It was the most convenient door. I found $1 million baby in a 5 and 10 cent store. The rain continued for an hour. I hung around for 3 or 4. Around $1 million baby in a 5 and 10 cent store. She was selling china, and when she made those eyes, I kept buying china until the crowd got wise. Incidentally, if you should run into a shower, just step inside my cottage door and meet the $1 million baby from the 5 and 10 cent store.
For generations, people have walked these aisles in search of a cure, to quench their thirst, commemorate a trip, or find the perfect something to make a loved one smile. Young and old, locals and visitors, everyone can find exactly what they're looking for if they let their feet carry them through a little piece of history and down the right aisle. Five and Dime General Store represents the past, the virtues and values we look back on as something that was better, with the nostalgia of things faded and lost over the decades. Since the advent of Woolworths as the first consumer direct shopping experience in the 1870s, to the consumer products boom of the 30s, to the 50s and 60s, when prepackaged goods became household staples, stores like Five and Dime have held a special place in the hearts and minds of everyday Americans. While their presence, practicality, and nostalgia seem universal, general stores were under threat in the 80s.
In the 80s, there was this move of pushing the local community away from the downtown area, and it's exacerbated over the years, over the last 40 years, where basically downtown there's a handful of shops where locals can actually go and feel comfortable being in.
When Woolworths faced extinction and the Santa Fe store was set to close, it threatened to irrevocably alter the local, authentic feel of the historic plaza.
Sighs of relief in Santa Fe, the most popular place on the plaza, will continue to be a real store.
There were worries that another pricey art gallery would move in when the legendary Woolworths store closes there in December. That tops tonight's New Mexico Minute.
It was the last real thing. Everything else downtown had when I first moved here in 1979, I mean, there was a health food store down there, there was a shoe store, it was a real downtown. People could go and buy something they need. And, along came all these big stores, which wiped out downtowns everywhere. But what was left was the Woolworths. We still had that. We still had something that made the plaza area belong to us. To the Santa Feans, to make it our plaza.
Woolworth's going out of business sale.
Now, take at least 40% off everything at Woolworths.
At least 40% off all of them.
Upon reading of Woolworth's demise, Deborah Potter insisted she and her husband, Earl Potter, act to preserve the authenticity of one of the last, most authentic places in the country. What started as an ordinary morning in the Potters' Santa Fe home turned into a life-changing moment.
The big headline in the newspaper that Saturday morning was Woolworth's closing. And I could feel the Greek chorus emanating from the pages because, I was up early before Earl, and I was just thinking about it, and I was concerned mostly about the people who worked there. So Earl got up, he starts drinking his coffee, and I said, honey, we've got to save this. And he goes, oh, forget it. But there's employees, there's a manager, they're wondering what they're gonna do. And he's like, no, forget it, it's too late. And, okay, but this is what you do. You put businesses together, it's the kind of lawyer you are. Forget it, it's not gonna happen. I said, well, whoever saves us will be a real hero in this town. His caffeine kicked in right then. And the next day, or that Monday, he made it happen.
I figured, what the heck? I can just go down there to the store and meet the manager and have some nice words with him, express our sorrow at the store closing, and that'd be it. I did go down to the store, and of course, the store was chaos because people were coming in and saying, when is it going to close? What's going to happen? Whatever.
It was a nightmare to close, and we had a lot of local support. They were very upset about losing another prominent downtown location.
The manager, whoever he was, wasn't there, and I find out that his name was Mike Collins. I sat and I scribbled a note on my legal business card saying, Mike Collins, please call me.
It wasn't destiny that led to Mike and the Potters' collaboration. It was terrible handwriting.
He left a business card where he scribbled something I could barely read because I write the same way.
He looked at the card again and he said, gosh, his handwriting's worse than mine.
There was just something in that chicken scratch that I felt endeared to, so he's the only guy I contacted.
He said, and there was something about that handwriting that made me want to get to know the person behind it.
And that was almost 25 years ago now. It was an opportunity knocking.
We made a date over the phone to meet at the Palace restaurant for lunch. Mike showed up and he was wearing just a t-shirt and jeans. My first impression was, gee, I'm having lunch with Jimmy Stewart, because he talked very slowly but he talked very warmly. I said to him, what do you think? What are you gonna do now that the store is closing? He said, well, I've always looked at having a store. Ever since I went to work for Woolworths when I was 14 years old, I've always wanted to have a store. And I said, well, what kind of a store? And he said, well, it's a store that handles most of what Woolworths does, but only the stuff that sells, because 30% of the items in our store make 80% of the profit. And this store is a profitable store. And there's just a whole lot of stuff from local people and other sources of supply that Woolworths doesn't have.
I realized that about 25% of the items accounted for about 80% of the total sales.
The 30,000 square foot Woolworths was reduced to its original footprint from 1935. 5,000 square feet of prime real estate, overlooking the Santa Fe Plaza, and being passed over by 1 million people each year.
He said, and did you know that the store is divided into two lots? There are 2 lots that compose the store, and 2/3 of the store is in a property that is owned by a guy named Jerry Peters, and 1/3 of that store is owned by the Braden family in Arizona. And he said, I've worked out the numbers and I think we can do very well. We're now 25 years later, and Mike has done a zillion projections on all sorts of stores. None of them have ever fallen short of what he predicted. I wasn't getting Jimmy Stewart, I was getting a genius.
Be wise and get the better buys at Woolworths. The Woolworths.
Mike wasn't new to general store retail, and his intuition was born of experience. His career at Woolworths began before he was old enough to be on the payroll.
I started working at the San Francisco location at West Portal, and that was, I believe, when I was 15 years old. And I would be paid in merchandise because I wasn't old enough to be put on the payroll. I think I remember getting, believe it or not, 8 tracks, transistor radio, a watch, things like that. And the district manager came in and asked if I owned a tie. And I said, would somebody die? And he said, no, you're the assistant manager starting tomorrow. I think I was 18 at the time, which was really unique because Woolworths didn't accept anyone without a college degree, but somehow made an exception for me. They must have been desperate.
It's a pleasure to shop where
you know you're getting value.
That's why I like to shop at Woolworths.
Five and Dime General Store began as an effort to save the historic site of the Woolworths store. Woolworths opened on the Santa Fe Plaza in 1935. A place for everything, Woolworths offered a hot meal, clothes, staples, and dry goods for customers of all ages and incomes. From its beginning in 1879, Woolworths' Great 5-Cent Store was a discount general merchandiser, the first of its kind, where customers could browse and choose their items from open shelves. During their opening day sale on Friday, March 29, 1935, items like the crocheted beret and ladies' percale aprons were 20 cents each. At the new Santa Fe store, Woolworths brought inexpensive fashion apparel and home goods, as well as decor, candy, jewelry, notions, and novelties to the plaza. Woolworths became a pioneer in merchandising, direct purchasing, sales, and customer-centered service, developing practices for success that are commonly used in today's retail stores. From the origins of market stalls to the introduction of all-in-one department stores like Woolworths, Five and Dime General Store stands as a bookmark in time, a necessity of daily life for those passing by on their way to attractions and landmarks, and for local residents in need of a refreshment, over-the-counter remedy, or something to take home to the kids.
I appreciate that we were able to maintain some degree of that feel of openness to local populations and not have it be a Southwest Disneyland.
It's an old concept. Probably, our grandparents and great-grandparents. I think, most things cost a nickel or a dime in those days. I remember even when I was a little kid, somebody gave me $1. It was like, wow, I could spend all day in, Newberry's buying things for this $1. So it goes back that far.
Designed to maintain the spirit of the Santa Fe Plaza as a center for locals, Five and Dime acknowledges present-day tourists and their desires. According to Earl Potter, they began with Mike Collins and built the business around people with the right experience. It was a model Earl had used in the past, identifying the best person to lead and creating a business around them.
One of the natural abilities, Earl, is to spot talent.
He supported me, 110%, gave me the leeway to do what I need to do, and he's great at doing what he needs to do as far as the real estate, everything, merchandising. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Earl.
If Mike Collins is the driving force, Earl and Deborah Potter are paving the road, recognizing opportunity and curating a team of people with the experience and intuition to make it succeed. In May 1998, Five and Dime opened its doors to an eager public. Mike Collins' vision proved a successful reality. In their first year, Five and Dime generated more profit from 5,000 square feet than Woolworths had in years from 30,000 square feet. But the road to their first sale was filled with obstacles and uncertainties, starting with the name, building space, and establishing leadership. In order to avoid anything as egocentric as Potter's General Store, Earl, Deborah, and Mike Collins debated names that accurately reflected the new business. In a sudden pinch, they registered the corporate identity UTBW, used to be Woolworths, and decided on Five and Dime General Store for the business. The next step was securing the prime real estate they needed to succeed, which wouldn't be easy.
The Braden family owned the 1/3 of the store. That actually where the original Woolworths was when it opened up in 1935.
One of the family members of the Braden family was named Winifred Braden. It was Winifred that held the keys to this desired location.
She was the one that we would have to convince that we were the right tenants to come into this property. What we did was, first of all, we gave her a very detailed idea of what we were proposing, and what we were actually trying to do is preserve the spirit of Woolworths into a very locally oriented store. And from the very first time we explained that to her, she really liked it.
Well, and we had a meeting. We bought our son and our dog, and I mean, well, 'cause we wanted her to know that it would continue. That another generation would follow us, and so the dog's now in charge. No.
According to Winifred's granddaughter, Donna Moffett, Winifred chose the Potters for their vision and local investment. Her family had invested generations into the Santa Fe Plaza, and she insisted on maintaining the authentic legacy. Competing retailers wanted more of the same boutiques and art galleries in the coveted space, but Winifred treasured the general store nostalgia and community value it provided. She agreed to partner with UTBW and extend Woolworth's legacy and utility. It was an easy vision to rally behind, preserving the locally owned, resident-serving commercial heart of the plaza. But it was a challenge to execute and required a team of people with a unified goal. The Potters put together a group of partners to help guide the business and maintain their commitment to Santa Fe.
Well, it was my idea because there wasn't much investment involved. I mean, it's a brand new business, hadn't been tried before. I knew we would need advisors. So I thought, well, let's put together like a little board of directors. So, and we had friends who had different skills, different talents.
He brings in people and says, like he did to me, and I'm sure he did to Mike, is, look, this is your show or our show. Make it a success. When people feel like they're valued, they perform better, and he's very good at doing that.
In addition to Rick Brenner, Deborah suggested they look among their network of friends for partners who could add value to their new venture. Charles Steiker was the Potters' longtime friend and Earl's client. Among many other ventures, Chuck is the chairman of the board and founder of Cantel Medical Corp. and serves on several public company boards including Lowe's Corporation and Pace Editions. Other client friends invited to join the board were Ron and Barbara Balser, who brought finance and insurance insight, and Mary Lee Collin, a personal finance advisor and active community member. Rob Higgins had been selling his jewelry from a booth in front of the old Woolworths store for years when Mike Collins asked him to continue on an official basis in front of Five and Dime and join UTBW as a partner. Rob was beloved by plaza shopkeepers and regulars and strengthened the store's bid for local support. With a board of directors in place, partners secured, and their leadership culture established, renovation and the necessary negotiations between parties began.
Santa Fe had the issue of taking this big space and all of a sudden dividing it down, which meant putting in a huge demising wall.
The most difficult items were getting the wall constructed that would separate the two ownerships of Jerry Peters and the Braden family. Under the lease, Woolworths was required to build a wall, but of course Woolworths would have to get the approval of both the Braden family and Jerry Peters, who did not like each other.
And it was a big wall, and we had issues of you could hardly step onto the other side because it wasn't our properties. Earl has a great ability to negotiate and to keep people happy. So he had worked out an arrangement for us to do that.
With their team assembled and the retail space rebuilt, it was time to reveal the plan with the rest of the community. Five and Dime shared their intention to continue the Woolworths legacy on the plaza while embracing contemporary culture and purpose. The announcement came with a mariachi band, a speech from the mayor, and a giant bag of Fritos to celebrate the continuation of the Frito pie.
Well, you know, my wife and I like to bring our dogs downtown on Saturdays and Sundays and eat Frito pies, and how are we going to do that if we didn't preserve them?
They just wanted the free Frito pies.
The mayor's office closed off the street in front of our stores for the announcement. The police chief sent a couple of cops over.
Oh, it was exciting. The energy surrounding the opening was fantastic. I don't think I've, to this day, have heard one negative comment about Five and Dime.
We thought that the community would be ecstatic. We were right about that.
Santa Feans loved the idea, showing up to celebrate the transition and commemorating the store's future as Five and Dime, even before opening day. Many people came out to say goodbye to Woolworths and welcome a new, old kid to the block. The announcement was also met with relief for those concerned about losing the iconic Frito pie from the plaza.
Up in the capital city, an old tradition on Santa Fe's Plaza will not die after all. Woolworths will close its doors in December, but attorney Earl Potter plans to reopen in February as a general store. Teresa Hernandez, the so-called Frito Pie Lady, will stay on as a part owner. Santa Feans celebrated that news today with mariachis and free food on the plaza.
This place is one of our legends in Santa Fe, and being born and raised here, and I see all the people from out of state, out of the country, and this is Woolworth. This is our Frito pie.
One of the driving forces behind the creation of the Five and Dime was to preserve Frito pies in Santa Fe as part of our history, part of the plaza scene.
We were preserving the Frito pie, which was an iconic dish in Santa Fe. It was absolute soul food for the community. And we were preserving that. I think more people were happy we were preserving the Frito pie than, Alka-Seltzer,
If you've ever been to the Five and Dime on Santa Fe's Plaza, chances are you've had one of Lorraine Chavez's Frito pies. They're world famous and a true staple for all New Mexicans.
Originally recreated with New Mexico's signature red chili in the 1960s and sold by Teresa Hernandez in the Plaza Woolworths, Frito pie captures the flavor of Santa Fe. Over the past 60 years, Frito pie has become an icon of New Mexican cuisine. Ground beef and pinto beans, seasoned and slow-cooked in red chili, are served over crunchy, signature corn chips in the Frito bag.
It's unique, and who would think about taking a bag of Fritos and opening it up and putting chili on it and cheese and whatever else goes into it. It was kind of a piece of the authenticity of Santa Fe.
It was a dish that a lot of families had. It was a bag of Fritos cut along the side so it opens up. In there's Fritos, and on top of that goes chili and onions and cheese, and it's about 4,000 calories. No. But it's so good. You gotta go have one after this. It's so good. Yeah, the cops would come in and have Frito pies. Different people would come in because it was something that was everybody's favorite lunch.
Well, I became known as the Frito Pie Lady because, I was there consistently for, now going on 25 years. That's our #1 dish that we sold faithfully there.
Like New Mexico, Frito pie is distinctly American, distinctly Hispanic, and a delicious harmony of the past and present. Whether locals looking for a quick lunch or tourists checking items off their bucket list, the Frito pie is a mainstay, drawing people through the store to the landmark lunch counter in the back.
First time I had a Frito pie from here was in the 3rd grade. I remember taking field trips from our school, and we'd come downtown and everybody would come here. And we used to all line up here. Everybody would sit here, have our little Frito pies, and sell them out.
To this day, when I'm eating this dish, it reminds me of being a kid. I want to get on my skateboard. I want to go raise a muckus around town.
Celebrity chef Ram Fama, a Santa Fe native, introduced the wider world to the Five and Dime General Store lunch counter in the August 2011 episode of The Best Thing I Ever Ate. In the episode, he speaks of his love for Frito pie and the memories each bite invokes.
I know a lot of people have seen this Frito pie, but it's just not like the Frito pie in the Five and Dime General Store in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It's corn chips and chili with agave cheese. And it'll come in the bag, and I'll start eating it, and it's just like I was 5 years old again, when I had hair.
In 2013, famed food writer, celebrity chef, and host of the hit show Parts Unknown, Anthony Bourdain, was intrigued by the Frito pie, bringing Five and Dime's lunch counter into the national spotlight.
Hi, Frito pie and a soda, please.
This is the Frito pie. As American as apple pie or the Manhattan Project, and nearly as deadly.
Opposed to everything this dish stands for, and yet, it is also delicious.
It was good publicity. Actually, it was the #1 hit on Google for the next 2 days, I think.
Bourdain's review was mixed, and some New Mexicans took offense.
I was very irritated right away. It was like, doesn't know what he's talking about. Where did he get this?
Famed TV chef Anthony Bourdain is now apologizing for causing a ruckus this weekend
by bashing a popular New Mexico food. Did he really say the chili at a Santa Fe store famous for its Frito pies was canned? Yes, he did.
Lorraine Chavez is blowing it off, saying all the recent publicity seems to have brought in even more customers who know the truth.
My response was obviously he doesn't know New Mexico chili.
As we mentioned, Bourdain now admits he got it wrong. His publicist told the Associated Press today that the show will correct the error for future airings.
The community rallied around Five and Dime's Frito pie, showing support for the recipe and celebrating New Mexican ingredients in the contemporary mashup of Spanish, Mexican, and Old West chuckwagon cuisines. The Potters started Five and Dime to extend Woolworth's legacy as a plaza variety store and local employer. They never expected it to become a line of family-inspired retailers stretching across every time zone in the U.S. After enjoying several years of success, Five and Dime recognized the opportunity to spread into other historically focused, family-oriented vacation destinations and bring the past back across the country.
4 years into our store in Santa Fe, we met an architect from San Antonio who, when we told him about our store, said San Antonio might be a good location. It was successful, and we also liked the energy that it brought to our company to have an interest in growth. So we decided that we would look for opportunities.
Identifying the right sort of places was critical. Like the famed Frito pie, getting the ingredients right is essential, and substitutes just won't do.
How many people are walking by is kind of a threshold question. If you don't have enough people to begin with, and we have a pretty good idea of what that number is, but that's part of our secret sauce.
And we have to wait for the right store in that location. We have to wait till one comes available and hope it's large enough for us. And that all takes a really long time.
We want to complement what the location have. We want to be part of the community, and we want to enhance anything that we possibly can.
For visitors, it's important that there's a variety of things available to them. The Five and Dime is the kind of store that when I travel and I go into another market and I walk into a store and I say, gee, I wish that was in Santa Fe. That's what the Five and Dime is. And it keeps us competitive. And we have to be competitive not for the first-time visitor, but for the repeat visitor.
Each manager does the buying. So when you go to San Antonio, you're going to get a lot of Texas things, a lot of stuff with bulls on it, and in Jackson Hole you get a lot of moose stuff, and that the managers decide that. They all decide, they do their ordering, they decide what they want to have. Because it's full of necessities, that keeps it local. Every store has the necessities. Part of what happened in Jackson Hole when we were telling people what we were doing. Oh, downtown needs that. There's nothing like that downtown. We need something where somebody could buy a necessity.
With several places in mind, expansion efforts began, but the UTBW team prioritized quality over ease and speed, which meant some towns took years of relationship building before the right door opened. Five and Dime thrives in historically significant communities from coast to coast. However, the framework of keeping in character with these historic districts can sometimes add to the complication of opening new stores.
There's the good and the bad that goes along with that. The problem is that it limits what you can do and how you can do it. For example, window space we could put on the street facades of the buildings and signage, things like that.
Fortunately, the company values that make Five and Dime successful also ensures they're able to meet the challenges everywhere their stores open. Their character runs deep, tapping into family values, nostalgia, and devotion that transcend the culture, climate, and potential limitations of individual places. While it may be corporately owned, Five and Dime General Store has always viewed their business through the lens of a locally owned mom and pop store. From the start, Family has played a key role in Five and Dime's establishment and success, and many of the managers and associates get to work alongside members of their own family.
Five and Dime isn't a large corporation. We're family owned and operated. Every store's like a separate entity in itself. The store manager's dad, he takes care of everybody in the building.
My mom was working at the St. Augustine Five and Dime. She's actually one of the ones that opened it with Christian, was there from the beginning.
Families are the way that we run a company.
So we like nepotism in this company because, they're honest and dependable. I started my grandson, Anthony, a couple of months ago, and he's just must have it in his blood. He's just a natural.
I think as a company, it doesn't have a corporate feel to it. Part of that is just the way we treat our customers, how friendly we are to them, that we don't have like the corporate look necessarily, specific uniforms and stuff. I think that makes it better.
We're here to have fun too. A customer doesn't walk in here and gets ignored. They're acknowledged and they're greeted. And we kind of joke with them, let them have some fun. They're on vacation, they're willing to spend some money, so make sure they have a good time while they spend it.
Nostalgia is a big part of the Five and Dime brand, grounding the company in old-fashioned integrity that values community over competition. They deliver much-needed joy and memories through the old-timey toys, novelties, and snacks they carry for customers.
Nostalgia is a vein that we mine very heavily in the Five and Dime. We reach back to those feelings that people have about former times that they enjoy, and experiences they enjoy, and I think our stores are resonant for that.
I would describe Five and Dime as a souvenir store with a lot of nostalgic items to help you just remember your childhood.
Well, we do carry quite a few nostalgic products. It's kind of what's coming back in, from the paddle ball to the yo-yo to the Whammo Super Ball.
The toys in our store you can handle, if you notice. Very few of like the little cars that we sell are in boxes. They're out there so they can be played with, because of the family that comes in with the kids playing is going to buy a whole lot more.
To show that we're also a departure from the tech-heavy world, most of our stuff in here in the store has to do with electronics or filled with electronics, and it's just nostalgic stuff. It's just more homely, like warming gifts rather than technology.
We have the tin signs, we have the old-fashioned candies, the wooden guns from back in the day. You get grandparents coming in here with their families, and they love showing their kids the kazoos and all the things that they used to play with and enjoy as kids.
There's always like a few candies that we get that really remind me, I used to, take that on a road trip with my family.
And you get that customer that says, I haven't seen that in a long time. I'm going to take this to my granddaughter, to my, grandson.
I can see how the parents will be telling their kids about the item that they used to play with that when they were a kid, and they used to eat that.
The other night, actually, I saw a family in here, and the dad was actually showing his children like old tricks on the yo-yo that he did, growing up, and then playing with the slingshot and telling them basically how they go out in the woods and just shoot trees and stuff with the slingshot.
It's funny, the items will be different for different people depending on where they're brought up. Every person in that family sees something that piques their interest. The children will see the toys, mom will see some jewelry, dad will even see some tin signs that you can hang in the garage. So it just unites the family. They can all shop together and find an interest that they can share.
Part of the Five and Dime's success is the leadership's ability to tap into the local market. But a huge part comes from their management. The leadership culture and family ties are as much a signature of the brand as the nostalgic general store.
I met Bob and Mike, and the way they welcomed me in, and then I realized the way they treated me with respect and all, that this was a company that I wanted to work for a long time.
Working with Five and Dime changed my life because I've spent all my year working for corporate structure like Walmart, Woolworth, Target. But with Five and Dime, they give me an autonomy to run the store more efficiently without having to go through the different channel and everything else on the floor. But the Five and Dime more family-oriented, they're fair, and they care about their employee and manager.
The business culture is why I came here. It was having the leadership of being able to have complete control over inventory, being able to lead my team, train my team, develop my team, really seek the talent of the area and push them forward, be able to pay them what I felt was appropriate, as well as the freedom of bringing in new items that fit our area and our surrounding area and servicing our customers versus having to look the same as other stores.
I've grown a lot as a manager and as a leader, and I think that they've helped me not as just in my career as a manager, but also as a person. They're family. It's like a big family.
At Five and Dimes, it's mom and pop. They are a family-oriented, and when I mean that, it's like before I moved out here, it was let's send you out for a whole week and see if it's a right fit for yourself. You know, I don't want you to make a decision and it's not for you.
A couple years ago when my mom got sick, she was in North Carolina, I was in New Mexico, and I really needed to travel. They helped me do that. They helped me financially, they helped me emotionally. It meant everything to me. Being able to be there when she was sick and not having to worry about, am I going to lose my job because I can't go to work? They actually told me not to worry about anything and do what I could. And that's exactly what I did.
I think leadership goes down to one simple philosophy. It's treating people the way you want to be treated. I've said that all my life, and if everybody treated people the way they expect to be treated back, life would be very good for everybody.
If management's friendly, nice, caring, it trickles down to all employees.
I try to set a good example. That's the true and most effective form of leadership. It's not commands, but it's something in your behavior that leads other people to want to follow you.
The Potters, Deborah and Earl, and Mike control everything, and they could take that approach and just march off and do things. But Earl makes a point of calling up people on the board who he knows might have some input on any particular issue that comes up. He encourages people to give their feedback and is always really considerate and taking people seriously. You can see it in his eyes that he's engaged. Well, Mike, he can't micromanage. He can't run the stores here or in San Antonio himself. So he's hired good managers and clearly given them the reins to make certain decisions. I mean, he's just got it in his bones. He knows retail.
Five and Dime is true to each of their respective communities, maintaining the soul and distinctive nostalgia of the historic towns where they reside. While some items are universal, each store carries locally sourced and made products and pieces that will capture the joy and spirit of a special vacation.
The market really determines what the mixture of our merchandise is. For instance, in our newest shop in Jackson, there's a line of huckleberry items that I would have never thought about because I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I just don't know. It's really dependent upon what moves in that market. We have a lot of autonomy that we give to our store managers in making those decisions.
The Florida store has Florida things, it appeals to Florida people. And Santa Fe, we have all sorts of wonderful stuff in there, jumping beans, things that you kind of wouldn't want to buy when you're in an ocean place. And the other way around too. They have a lot of seashell stuff, and it's wonderful. Each store is so different. It's just so much fun to go to them.
New Mexico, we love
As New Mexico's capital and one of the oldest North American settlements, Santa Fe is steeped in history that permeates the culture, art, cuisine, and clothing. The Old West, native tribes, and desert landscape are signature themes in the Santa Fe store.
It probably offers the most affordable product to our visitors on the plaza. It maintained the wonderful Frito pie, and it offers a hot dog at $3.95, I think, and I don't think there's anything on the plaza that you can buy for $3.95, let alone something to eat. So it really kept that integrity of what was originally created for the residents, not for the visitor, but offers the visitor a chance to find something really unique, really interesting, a lot of logoed stuff, which I love, and yet affordable.
And it's the only place downtown where there's something that you need, you can buy. And Santa Fe is unique in the Frito because it has the Frito pie. But there we sell lots of souvenirs and candy and all the things that families want. There's very few, almost no restaurants downtown where you'd want to take 4 kids, you know, when you're traveling. And so they come in and they have Frito pies. We have ice cream. We have pictures on the wall of that corner and how it looked, you know, this year and that year and this year.
I think the Five and Dime caters to what the locals are looking for. A lot of stores carry a lot of handmade merchandise. Our location, Santa Fe, is famous for local vendors, New Mexico type items.
For some visitors, they want a very expensive piece of jewelry or a very unique piece of art that becomes a lasting memory of their trip to Santa Fe. Other visitors, they want something to take home that says Santa Fe. And that's where the Five and Dime really completes that variety that we need for a successful experience in Santa Fe.
I think people just like knowing that they can feel comfortable in the store in Santa Fe and not be expected to buy something, you know, buy some jewelry or a contra belt, or, you know, they can feel comfortable, they can poke around, they can look around all they want without somebody saying, "And may I help you?"
After several years of growing success, a chance encounter with a San Antonio businessman led the Potters and Mike to look deep in the heart of Texas at a second location. The San Antonio store occupies some of the highest trafficked real estate of the famed Riverwalk, with over 10 million people passing by each year.
It's very important to have the Five and Dime here on the Riverwalk because we're a one-stop shop for everybody. You can go into a shop and find t-shirts. You can go into another shop and find souvenirs, but not too many places have a little bit of everything. Here in San Antonio, we have one local artist that does note cards and magnets for us that do very well. We like to give them opportunities to sell to people outside of San Antonio. The theme, everything's bigger in Texas, is pretty popular. We sell a coffee mug that probably holds a gallon worth of coffee. You know? We sell giant-sized jelly beans. We sell giant pencils and erasers.
The beer stuff, they love beer stuff in Texas. And cowboy hats and anything that gives you the cowboy image.
The kids love anything to do with Texas. They love the Mexican-themed toys, sombrero hats. John Wayne's very popular. Everybody likes the Duke.
Well, Branson is in the Ozarks, and it's a huge tourist destination. People come there and they have huge auditoriums that the different entertainers own, and it's a big deal. And they double as churches on Sunday. You know, they're huge. I mean, it's America, Branson. It is just right there in the heart of America with fantastic people coming through.
Branson, Missouri is known for its family-oriented fun and live entertainment.
They'll pop in here and they'll get a mug, they'll get a t-shirt, they'll get a toy for their kids while they're staying in the hotel. But one thing that makes us a little different is tie-dye. We have it right up at the front of the store. It's our best-selling t-shirt.
The store features products from many Missouri-based vendors and craftspeople in addition to the Branson souvenirs.
One thing that we have here in Branson that's going to be unique is Shelly Smellies. their car fragrances. And then we also have Lipco. They're gonna have anything with a bear, they're gonna have some Native Americans, and a little bit of all kinds of things that we carry in the store.
Surf, sand, and boardwalks are the trademarks of Southern California. Nowhere is this truer than San Diego, home of Joe Pham, San Diego Five and Dime's manager and an old friend from Woolworths.
The special item for Old Town San Diego are like this T-shirt that we're showing right now, and the mug to signify the Day of the Dead, and we got the shot glass and magnet. It's all catered for Old Town San Diego.
There, of course, it's heavily influenced by Mexican items and Mexican tourists who come up. It's been very successful for us for many years.
Monterey is a wonderful place. I don't know if people haven't been there at all, but our items are a lot of fish-related things, a lot of like mobiles that look like fish and octopuses. And it's cold in Monterey. People don't realize that. Oh, it's California. Yeah, but it's on the coast and it's chilly. And so we sell a lot of sweaters and socks and sweatshirts and things like that there.
Monterey, California native Liz Hernandez loves the welcoming, laid-back style Five and Dime brings to historic Cannery Row. People come from all over the world to enjoy the gifts of the ocean, infinite views, gorgeous sunsets, marine life, and seafood. The Monterey Five and Dime is perfectly located just across the street from Maccabee Beach and down the road from the world-renowned Monterey Bay Aquarium.
When you think about coming to Monterey, you think about cypress trees and sea otters. And so we tend to keep a special unique gift sundries and a lot of mixed apparels. When you come to Five and Dime, you can find a gift for everyone here at an affordable price.
There's a lot of tourist shops here in Monterey, especially here on Cannery Row, but I really like Five and Dime because they have really cool, unique stuff. It's always a must stop for me.
On the opposite coast, Charleston, South Carolina is home to cobblestone streets, antebellum homes in confectionery shades, the Charleston Harbor, and Five and Dime's 6th general store.
Well, Charleston has its own culture. It's a wonderful place to go. First of all, it's one of the jewels of the country. And, you know, in our store, to reflect Charleston, we of course have the t-shirts and everything that says Charleston. And we have more cookbooks there than anywhere else because food in Charleston is so important.
Terry Feemster, the general manager, is another Woolworths alum. He loves the continuity of daily necessities at a reasonable price and serving the community as well as tourists looking to memorialize their trip with a souvenir.
We're proud of the fact that we do have the best prices in the market area. We try to offer the customer a quality product at a reasonable price.
It was the first of 3 stores to open in the Southeast, where the Five and Dime throwback culture of genteel service and practical, affordable merchandise aligns with the values of the region.
It's a very historical city, and a lot of people come here to see the history, whether it be the city market, Rainbow Road, Pineapple Fountains, and also the beaches. So what we try to do is sell items that feature those specific places. We do feature local sauces, seasonings, hot sauces, Charleston teas. We have the Charleston Gold Rice and Carolina Gold Rice. We have a large selection now of like vintage type toys, which is a throwback to that. You don't see that very often anymore.
Savannah's unique mix of Deep South roots and College of Art and Design students is as cool as a mint julep and equally refreshing. The manager, Josie Guerra, transplanted from the San Antonio store, embracing the change of scenery and unique character of Savannah.
They're always looking for a souvenir, but you know, the main souvenir is historical, landmarks that we do have, or they're looking for, something with the Waving Girl or something with the pirates for their kids on that part. So we have a variety of a lot of things, not just a magnet or a keychain. I mean, we have books that actually educate.
Savannah is also one of the jewels of the country. You have all that Spanish moss everywhere and old buildings, and it is the Old South as well, very much so.
Savannah is an even older building. It was actually an old cotton warehouse because it's right along the river, so they used to bring the cotton there and stage the shipping from there, maybe 150 years old. How are we going to convert this into a Five and Dime, which is, pretty much just 4 walls and some nice lighting? And
it was another place where it took us probably 5 years to find the right location, and we actually had to buy out the business that was leasing the property ahead of us. We found a wonderful landlord who fell in love with our concept and let us lease there, and now we have a wonderful manager there, and Josie is knocking him dead.
Like other Five and Dime associates, Christian Garbett jumped at the opportunity to lead his own store, leaving his post on the Gold Coast in San Diego for the Gulf Coast when the St. Augustine store opened. His goal is to ensure everyone who comes through can find what they need to make their stay or day great.
Yeah, we definitely try to cater to the aspects and needs of every individual, whether it's a local or a tourist, We try to keep margins very reasonable on snacks and drinks and that type of stuff for people that work in the area or live in the area. And then we also have the toothbrush that the tourists forgot at home.
Honoring the history of one of the oldest continuous European settlements in the U.S., the Five and Dime in St. Augustine fully embraces the Florida Caribbean flavor of the town, maintaining the strict architecture and design standards of St. Augustine's Historic Board and making themselves as natural a part of the community as the rum cake and sunscreen they stock.
Whenever we open a location, they want us to get familiar with the other stores in the area, talk with the owners, talk with the store managers, let them know we're coming, find out what we could do for them. So that's how I was able to meet Roosevelt Room, who created the rum cake. And it's been great, and it's worked out well.
In addition to being the newest Five and Dime, Jackson Hole, Wyoming has been the longest coming. The Potters and Mike have had their eye on the mountain town for over a decade.
We started being interested in Jackson Hole 14 years ago when we went there, and it has all sorts of traffic because everybody goes up to Yellowstone Park through Jackson Hole.
The town square was really where Five and Dime wanted to be, but very seldom does anything come up for lease. When the location of the old Legacy Gallery came up that belonged to the Lockhart family, I connected Earl with the Lockhart family.
I hopped on a plane. I met with the owner. 15 minutes later, we shook hands on a deal to lease that property.
The Jackson Hole store's mountain resort interior instantly sets the scene for customers and welcomes them to browse the large selection of local products.
The way our Five and Dime keeps that sort of the last of the Old West, atmosphere, we sell certain things like our cowboy hats that we sell, and then even in the kids section, we have like the Western toys like the guns and the bow and arrows and even cowboy hats for the children. Some of our more popular local products are like all of our Huckleberry stuff that is locally grown, and one of our sticker racks, the Holly Sage stickers, which is actually one of our top stickers that we sell.
And when I joined the Jackson Hole Chamber of Commerce, probably one of the #1 requests we received, because there are about 15 hoteliers and lodging properties within about 4 blocks of the town square, is where people could go just to get basic resources they need. After flying all day, most of our grocery stores are about a mile to a mile and a half outside of the center of the town square. With Five and Dime there, it provides a perfect opportunity for people to walk around, get what they need, then transition around the town square.
9 stores are bringing steady economic growth to their respective communities and growing deep roots into the individual culture and spirit of their towns. Now, Five and Dime looks forward to more rich collaborations with historic, family-oriented tourist destinations.
The Five and Dime has been successful in 9 communities now. It's not just Santa Fe. If you consider yourself one of the better visitor destination communities and you rely on the leisure visitor coming in, it will work in your community the way it has in 9 other ones. It's just been incredibly successful.
And the success isn't just because they sell trinkets. One of the aspects of, I think, every Five and Dime is bringing in product that tourists, whether they're wealthy or not, need. And so many historic districts don't have that because, you know, the old-fashioned pharmacies are gone or galleries don't carry it. And that's another advantage, is so many historic districts end up just with a lot of galleries, and it gets boring, and certainly locals don't like it.
I think most people, especially people who are familiar with Nickel and Dime Store, they immediately recognize the name and they're assuming they're going to come in and find stuff that's a nickel or a dime, but then they realize it's more about the nostalgic aspect of the store. People realize that we bring so much value and we're not here to really take advantage of anyone like certain tourist traps.
Most people have heard of a Five and Dime, and they want to come in to see what it looks like now. Obviously, we don't have anything for a nickel or a dime anymore, but it's still going to be affordable, and that's going to drive most customers in just by the name alone. And then you're going after the families. And yeah, who doesn't want to walk into a Five and Dime and remember that old style toy that they had that, you know, from 50 years ago?
The 25th anniversary of Five and Dime General Store in 2023 brings silver-lined memories of the challenges faced in getting started and a golden outlook on the future of expansion. The Potters have always had a community-first mindset, looking to protect, preserve, and add to the city and culture they love by embracing new places as members of the Five and Dime family. They're contributing to distinctive cultures all over the country.
In every community, there are people who are the bedrock of the community. The ones who are the most cherished are the ones who make the least of themselves and who don't insist on their role. They just do it. And they don't ask for thanks, and they don't insist on any kind of recognition. They just go about their lives being instrumental in the lives of other people. And the Potters are like that. When the city needs something, they're there to help make it happen.
In 2004, the Potters saw an opportunity to rally the community and give the plaza back some of its lost purpose and heritage. Together with the Santa Fe Community Foundation and other generous donors, the Potters replaced the unsightly temporary stage on the plaza with a permanent stage that would reflect the lasting spirit of Santa Fe.
They had erected on our plaza a stage that was literally chrome and plastic. And it was temporary. It was supposed to come down when not in use. And it never did. People hated that stage that was there. And the whole plaza was starting to degenerate because of that. The landscaping started to deteriorate. So, and everybody's going, oh, the plaza, it's really a mess. Well, I knew that if we got rid of that stage, it would make all the difference, because that was essentially saying the city saying we don't care. One night at a dinner for the College of Santa Fe, there were 2 people there who dealt with foundations. And there was one woman there who ran the Santa Fe Community Foundation, who channels money into things for Santa Fe. So I put together a group of like 5 of us, and we found the right architect, we found the right place to put the stage, and it was built. We opened it on the 4th of July. in 2004.
25 years ago, Earl and Deborah Potter had a straightforward goal: save the spirit of the Santa Fe Plaza as an authentic retail experience for residents as well as tourists. By opening Five and Dime, the Woolworths legacy was extended and preserved, bringing the charm and nostalgia of the golden past into the present, a place where families can find common ground, sharing childhood memories with the new generation, and uniting communities over shared needs, little indulgences, and souvenirs to remember a special trip. While it wasn't originally planned to be the panorama it's become, Five and Dime's proven value led to stores spanning across the nation and changing the lives of every member of the Five and Dime family.
What would Santa Fe be like if there weren't the Five and Dime? Imagine that's not there. It's unimaginable. It's the wrong place. It's the wrong alternative universe. We got to get out of there. We got to get back to reality, where the Five and Dime is there, and it's got everything you need in one place. So the Five and Dime doesn't add value. The Five and Dime is an existential fact that has to be appreciated for what it is, and never for what it would be without the Five and Dime, because that's unacceptable.
I think we're proud of taking really good care of our employees and our managers.
I think very few companies last as long as we do, that we have. And we can be very proud of that. And that's why we're making this film. It's kind of like a memory for us.
We came up with something that there was a niche that we filled, and it will go on. It'll go on, and I'm proud of that.